Hi everyone, welcome back to Cody's Lab. So about last October I reached 100,000 subscribers. An awesome milestone indeed. Now YouTube was going to send me a silver play button for reaching this milestone as kind of an award, and they never really did. It's been 7 months and I still haven't received a little notification they're supposed to send me. I've sent them emails asking about it, but no response. It might just be that YouTube is notoriously slow at sending them out and it could take up to a year. But at any rate, I've reached 250,000 subscribers now, and I've decided I'm going to make my own. And since I'm making my own, why not use some actual silver and possibly some gold that I've refined myself on the channel. I think that'd be incredibly awesome because nobody's got a silver play button actually made out of silver. So here's the wax mold that I'm making. Eventually this will be made out of solid silver. I just poured a sheet of wax, over top of some water so it can be perfectly flat, and then let it cool. And I've just been carving it away to give the triangle, and I'm now currently working on the bevel. To bevel it, you get the idea. I've already done it in here. And once I get that done, I'm going to take this and lay it on this piece so I get that recessed amount there. It's going to be a rather thick piece of silver. So I have a bit of gold here. This is actually the gold that I refined in episode 1 of my precious metal refining series. I'm going to put it on this anvil, and now I'm going to smash it flat. So I've got it pretty thin. It's probably thinner than a sheet of paper at this point, but it's starting to become very difficult to flatten out and starting to crack at the edges a little bit. So what's happening here is it's work hardening. In fact, it's for gold, it's very hard right now. You see, I can actually take this hammer and I can lift it using this gold flake. See that? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this up with a torch to a bright red hot. And I'm going to let it cool down slowly, and that should soften it again. Alright, let's let it cool. Now that I've annealed the metal, watch what happens when I try to lift the hammer with it. It just bends. See that? That means it's much softer now. Alright, so I think this is about the size that I needed it to be. Look at that. Huge piece of gold foil, basically. Yet still remarkably heavy. I think it's got some heft to it. Yeah, there it is. Now I'll just cut this into shape, and that'll be the little play button thing. Just pour in the plaster. So here's the mold. I've removed the wax and I baked it in the oven for several hours to drive off all the water. And it's looking pretty good. Now I gotta figure out how much silver I'm gonna need to actually fill this. And I have here all of the silver that I currently own. Here's the stuff that I've been refining in that refining series. These are a couple of actual silver bars that I've bought. This one I bought with my friend Arthur about a year ago, back when the price of silver started dropping really low. This I actually bought with my first ever paycheck for my summer job at Utah Fabrication back in, oh gosh, that would have been 2009 or something. I actually bought $600 worth of silver back then, and it was about $17 an ounce, so I had quite a few more of these bars. When the price of silver went back up, it went to like $40 an ounce. I ended up selling most of them, and I doubled my money. That was one of the better investments I ever made. It was with my first paycheck. I kept one for sentimental value, so this is probably out for melting down because I'd like to keep it. Here's a piece of silver that actually came from the mine. This was an attempt at making a silver coin. See, it's pretty nice. I can melt that down with this stuff. This here, which actually came from silver contacts, like for switches, and I've refined all the lead and cadmium out of it, and this is down to pretty much fine silver, so I can use this as well. And here's a little silver ring that's really too small to fit anyone, so I could melt that down as well. So now I'm going to figure out just exactly how much silver I'm going to need. The distance between here and here is 9.5 centimeters, so that's 9.5. This is 13.5 across there, 13.5. This is just an estimate real quick because the triangle in the middle, of course, is going to change the volume of this. And then it was 6 millimeters deep, times 0.6 centimeters. I think it's a 76.95 cubic centimeters that I need to fill. Now times that by 10.1 is the density of silver. That means I'm going to need 777 grams of silver. Now, I know I've got that much, but unfortunately the amount that I actually processed in the videos is not going to be quite enough. I think I had 620 grams of silver from that. Let's see, yeah, right around 620 there. And this here is going to make a mess because I've made it into shot form. 785, that's what, just over 25 ounces of silver? Alright, I think that'll be definitely enough. Let's put it in the mold and melt it down. So I've just leveled the furnace, you can see it in there. Hopefully the silver will just melt in place and fill the mold. And then I'll just let it cool inside the furnace, and that'll give me a nice play button made of silver. Now I've decided I'm going to add this coin in there, that way it's got some silver from the mine. I figured that was appropriate. And also it's not lost on me that this is 25 ounces of silver. That means I've got 1 ounce of silver for every 10,000 subscribers. I thought that was pretty cool. And it's on the floor of the thing. Dang it. Let's turn it off. That dissolved oxygen coming out of it. I'm gonna have to rethink this. Here's the molten silver. Let's pour it into the mold. Come on. It's not gonna work. After those failures, I decided to make a mold out of clay. So this is a ceramic now, and that'll be able to handle the heat much better than the plaster will. So let's just put the silver in there. Oh dear. Is that what I think it is? Yeah, that was molten silver. It's never a good sign to have metal fall out of this furnace when you open it. So I've broken off most of the clay of the mold, and it's beginning to look sort of play button shaped. It didn't turn out nearly as well as I would have hoped though. I mean, look at all these bubbles and voids there. Perhaps if I ground it smooth and then like use the oxyacetylene torch to weld up these pockets, it might be able to work. Alternatively, what I could do is take this back side, polish that smooth, and then just stick my gold piece to it. Because this side looks like it ended up being pretty smooth. Oops. Well, that answers that. Even with the torch on full blast, I wasn't able to melt the base metal of the silver. It just pulled the heat away much too fast because silver's just too good of a conductor of heat. Since I wasn't able to weld up those holes, I think I'm just going to start grinding on it and see if I end up with something pretty. I guess I'll collect all the shavings and remelt them down. And that might be an episode of the refining. As you can see, I've now got it shaped into a rough rectangular prism. The backside here still looks a bit rough, as you can see. Still got these deep bubbles that I wasn't able to weld up. And it looks so nice like that. But I think this is the side we're going to use. So now, I just got to round off the corners and then polish it up. So I got some polishing compound here. It's about 1500 grit. Well, it's not a mirror finish, but it's certainly a lot shinier. So I just marked out the triangle that I'm going to cut out of the gold piece. It's about as big as I can make it there. It's 4 centimeters wide on this edge. So hopefully this will be right. I'm just going to cut it out with this pair of scissors right along that line. Alright, looks good. Hopefully this works. I've marked out where it needs to go in pencil. Let's put a little super glue on there. See if I can stick it down. that right there. Set it right there. And those marks I made. There it is. I think that looks pretty cool. Now, I was going to make the frame myself, but I saw a person on eBay was selling the fake silver play buttons, and their frame looked so professional that I had them make me one for the 250,000. A little bit larger than the silver one, and of course saying 250,000 instead of the 100,000. And they did a pretty good job. I'll put a link to the eBay listing in the description. I think eventually at some point I may actually pull this gold piece off and move it over just a fraction, because it looks like it's a little bit off center, and that's gonna just bother me. But other than that, it looks pretty nice, I think. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time. You caught that, right?
Yeah, I did.
Well,